So there's been some reactions to the interview granted by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume, where he has perhaps indicated that President Bola Tinubu should be allowed to run the affairs of this country for another 4 years from 2027. And he's also inferred in that interview that the North should go and queue behind the South and come back to seek for election in 2031. That may have gotten the attention of the presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 election, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, where his media advisor, Paul Ibe, today took to a social media platform X, where he says that Nigerians should be allowed to decide the fate of who becomes Nigeria's next president after President Bola Tinubu. And so the argument about what has happened since 1999 has already cropped up. How many years that the South has run the affairs of the country since 1999, and how many years has the North run the affairs of the country since 1999. According to the analysis, of course, what we do know, the North has had 11 years, South 17 years. If you make a calculation, Olusegun Obasanjo from Southwest, 8 years. After him was Umaru Musa Yar'Adua from Katsina State, who died in office after spending 3 years. Then Goodluck Jonathan from the South region of the country took over after him and got 5 years in office. And afterwards, it was President Muhammadu Buhari who was in office for 2 terms and got 8 years. Then comes Bola Tinubu from the Southwest, who is spending part of his first 4 years if Nigerians renew it in 2027. Now, the question is, who runs the affairs from 2027? Now, if you look at the calculation, out of these years, 11 years for those who have run from the northern region of the country, and 17 years from those who have run the affairs coming from the southern part of the country. Now, if you look at what Paul Ibe said on his Twitter handle, he says, quote, "Where then does true equity and fairness reside? By the year 2027, the South will have enjoyed 17 years of leadership, 8 years under Obasanjo, 5 years under Jonathan, and 4 years under Tinubu, while the North will have experienced over 11 years. With Yar'Adua 7, 3, and Buhari 8, this results in a disparity of 6 years between the North and the South, casting a shadow over the balance of power. In any case, the power to elect and vote out a government lies firmly with the Nigerian people, entrusted to them upon the government's ability to prove itself worthy of the people's ballot. But as the Tinubu government demonstrated that it deserves to be re-elected, the answer, alas, is as clear as the heavens themselves. God forbid." Those are the words of Paul Ibe, spokesperson to Atiku Abubakar. But what really triggered that statement? It was from the interview from George Akume, the SGF. And I quote what George Akume said. He says, quote, "President Tinubu, as a Southerner, should be allowed to have a second term, meaning that those eyeing the presidency from the North in 2027 should look beyond that year by waiting till 2031. He went further to say, "It is the will of God for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to be president of Nigeria. Even at the age of 90 years, he can get it, but he and other Northerners in the office now should look beyond 2027. Those are some of what has been attributed from that interview to the SGF, George Akume. I'm being joined by Mr. Paul Ibe, who is the media advisor to the former vice president and presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 election. He's live for us here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us tonight.
So the pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this we assume is the thought of Mr. Atiku Abubakar. You speak for him.
Well,
the voice of Paul is the voice of Atiku.
Well, even if it's not the voice of Atiku Abubakar, the voice of Paul Ibe is also the voice of a Nigerian citizen. And so I'm a stakeholder. And I think, I've been thinking hard, what may have informed what the SGF, said. Because the last time that I checked, that was not part of his job prescription. And you see why they are failing at this job of governance. It is because they are focused on politics. Why must we reward a student who, did not pass his examination? Why must we reward him with promotion, her with promotion? And it appeared that Akume's, job in that particular interview, was very clear. Kidnap, the aspirations of Atiku Abubakar and any other northerner. And that was very responsible of him, to say the least.
Is Atiku Abubakar still intending to run in 2027?
That is not the issue.
But it's an issue, though. It's an issue.
No.
Is Atiku hoping to run in 2027?
You can't put the cart before the horse.
And which is a cat and which is a horse now?
Listen, Seun, the country is at crossroads as we speak. Look at the indices. Look at food inflation. Look at inflation. Look at the cost of doing business. Look at the life of the average citizen. Must we be playing politics with their well-being? That's why I said you can't put, the cart before the horse. We can't be talking about aspiration, but I think it was irresponsible of the SGF who have gone on national TV to, so to say, kidnap, the aspirations, the ambition of northern leaders. He's not qualified.
But is it fair to say after Buhari spent 8 years in office, it is natural for a southerner to, because that was the agitation and what some northern leaders within the APC actually were fighting for. And that was what caused the kind of upset or the kind of ruckus in your party, in the PDP, as to those who believe that how can a northerner, after 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari, succeed another northerner?
It is wrong to assume that the whole of Nigeria is either about the APC or even maybe the PDP. If the IGF had put a caveat that he was speaking, what he was referencing, affects the APC, we can understand that, but not the whole nation. Listen, let me even break it down, for you. The 17 years versus 11 since 1999. The 16 years of PDP, the South has ruled for 13 years. The North for 3 years. Under the APC, the North has ruled for 8 years. The South, President Tinubu, for 2 years. By 2027, 4 years. And when you sum all that up, there's still a balance of 6 years, 1 term and a half. The South will have ruled for 17 years, and the North for 11 years. When you minus 11 from 17, you have 6 years. So when we're talking about equity, you must come to it with clean hands.
There are those who will say this is the course of nature, not according to, nobody wished. Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was very loved. He was a president that a lot of Nigerians loved. He died in a moment where a lot of Nigerians felt disappointed that they lost a dear president. It wasn't the interest of anyone to have wished the president to have left office in that manner. So there are those, and it was a natural effect by the effect of the constitution and our laws that who becomes the vice president should naturally take over from him. And some of the issues that came up in the presidency when the former president was sick. And afterwards, it does look like a pictorial, not a numerical representation of the balance of power. face of a southerner, and not a northerner comes. A southerner comes, a northerner comes. It was the effect of nature that we had the shortage in the chances of the North. Can you blame the South for that?
The agreement, as it was then, with the PDP, about the rotational power was applied in breach.
In what sense?
Doesn't matter. I mean, Yaradua died. May his soul rest. Jonathan completed his, tenure. That is understandable. But whatever happened subsequently was an application of that particular agreement in breach.
What was that agreement?
I mean, the rotation, between the North and the South.
That the power should have gone to the North?
Yes. I mean, there was no reason why the North should not have allowed to complete the balance of the 4 years of the,
But Jonathan was, when you say there was an agreement, but Jonathan was planned to run for office. He lost only to Buhari. And if you said Buhari should, if you said that North, there was an agreement for the North to run, Buhari became president and it's a Northerner.
Let's not belabor that argument. The reality, as you and I speak, is that the South has ruled for 17 years versus the 11 years of the North. I mean, that is the reality that we're talking about. And that is the reason why I said, Governor Akume, well, fortunately, is a Northerner. And if he had elected to sell his birthright, for a mess of porridge, that is up to him. But I don't think that other Northerners will, toe the line. Maybe I probably will blame it on, too many cups of brukut.
So you, that's getting low, please. Is an Aide statement. So when you make reference to him in that sense, I don't think it's fair. Let me say that, do you see that, or what are you inferring that it is the time of the North in 2027? Is that what you're saying?
Listen. You see, why the desperation of the Tinubu administration to be talking about 2027 when they have not concluded 2024, 2025 beckons, and 2026. 2 more years to impact on the lives of Nigerians. Why are they so desperate? And every calculation is focused on 2027. So the question is, when will they have time for governance? The nitty-gritty of governance.
My question is that, are you saying that the North should be the one to have the chance in 2027?
Why should they not? Why should they not?
You're saying it's a turn of the North in 2027?
I'm not talking about turn. I'm not talking about turn.
Because the balance of power
even if it is turn by turn, let's assume, for the purposes of argument, that it is turn by turn. What we are getting now, is that the best that we Southerners have to offer?
You're making reference to President Bola Tinubu?
That's right. I'm making reference to him.
That's the person Nigerians voted for.
Voted?
You don't think that?
So Nigerians also can unvote him, can they?
If they so wish, isn't it?
That's right. So why is Akume, trying to kidnap the aspirations of other people?
So you've not answered my question, Mr. Ibe. Are you inferring that is the turn of the North in 2027?
What I'm saying is that the North, and if President Tinubu so desires, have a right, constitutional right, to present themselves, for an election. It is up to Nigerians to decide.
The North precluding Atiku or including Atiku?
Why will you preclude a citizen? Why? On what basis?
And you've not answered the question whether or not your principal could be on the ballot.
Why wouldn't he?
Does he still have the intention?
It's not about him having the intention. What I'm telling you is that it is wrong. It is wrong for SGF Akume to have kidnapped the ambition of other people.
He's thinking,
because they are Northerners.
He made an inference that age may not be on the side of your principal at that time.
What time is he talking about?
He's making reference to 2027, 2031.
2027?
He says by 2031 that your principal...
Atiku Abubakar is very healthy. Atiku Abubakar is very fit. Atiku Abubakar is very sound in mind. Atiku Abubakar is a person of ideas. I work with him on a daily basis. I know his competence.
In his 80s right now?
It's not in his 80s.
2027, he will be approaching his 80s.
Are we not running?
He's approaching his 80s right now.
We're not running up.
No, I'm talking about 2027.
Donald Trump, who just won election with a landslide, mandate, is 78. It's not about age. I mean, let's not. We've had young people given opportunities in this country. And, we've seen what they've made of it.
So Atiku is better than Tinubu. That's what you're saying. Because you were questioning the choice of Nigerians, whether Tinubu is the best for Nigeria.
Question. Even Nigerians are beginning to express, doubt, about seeming choice that they may have made.
In what sense?
The outcome of the election. Let's not get into that, Shane.
But your principal contested it and it failed.
Where did he contest
Up to the Supreme Court.
The same Supreme Court that is in the eyes of the storm. Reference Dele Farotimi's book. And the strategy has been now for this administration to suppress public opinion, to hound journalists. As I speak to you, my colleague in the office, they've used the instrumentality of the state, working in cahoot with Wando, owned by the nephew of the president, and they have dragged him to court for doing an analysis, the facts of which are, in the public domain. So this is what they are doing. Opposition, kill the opposition parties. The journalists hound them, throw them into jail, using the cyber, security, cyber bullying or whatever it is that they call it. Because they know clearly that they have nothing to offer. Nigerians are worse off than they were 2 years ago.
If you're speaking in this manner, it does mean that, when the meeting between Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar held in Adamawa, there are those followers of Peter Obi who said, God forbid, the same word that he used about Tinubu, and what Judge Akume said, that Peter Obi cannot be a running mate to Atiku Abubakar, because I followed some of the thread of what Peter Obi supporters are saying, that at the time that there will be another election, that Peter Obi will be sounder in mind and Atiku Abubakar will be older. And why will a Peter Obi be a running mate to an Atiku Abubakar? Is that what the meeting was about? Is there consideration that Peter Obi and Atiku might have an alliance or work together ahead of 2027?
I think we are going ahead of us. We're overanalyzing things. What happened was that Obi was in Yola, on the invitation of the university. It was his 20th anniversary and the 16th, Founders Day. And he was invited as a keynote speaker. On arrival, Atiku invited him, for breakfast. And, they had breakfast. And then he went for the program, in the university that he came for, and then topped it up with going to teach at the Feed and Read program, an internationally acclaimed, program of, the American university. And that was a mere breakfast that was served. And I wonder what would happen when a buffet, I'm not talking about the English buffet, I'm talking about the Chinese buffet is served. What, people will be saying. The truth of the matter is that Atiku Abubakar had promoted opposition parties to work together, to, come together, and that is possibly the only way that they can kick out this incompetent and clueless government. And I believe that discussions, have been going on and all of that.
There is even a fear that the alliance of Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar might cause a damage to to a chance of the APC for re-election in 2027. And is Atiku considering that? Because there are those who feel that one of the biggest errors that Atiku made for him to have lost that election was allowing Peter Obi to leave his side. Does Atiku Abubakar think in that line that maybe he could have reconsidered his choice of holding Peter Obi to his side?
Let me start with, what you said about the APC and all of that. That is no reason, a justification why they have to conscript the political space. They must allow people. I mean, it's about choice and freedom of expression and freedom of association. I mean, those are the bedrocks of democracy. It's well enshrined in our constitution. And this government, and its officials, and they need to take heed of that and stop using, the agencies of, the state to harangue, citizens. Now, listen. Lessons have been learned from 2023 by all parties, including Atiku Abubakar. And I believe that it is on the basis of the lessons that have been learned that they are moving forward and having discussions with the hope that the same mistake, that happened, where a knife was put between the things that held them together, and, whichever way, they have gone, Tinubu was, was a winner, in all of that. I think they have learned that lesson, and, they want to, be united as they go forward.
Is united mean that they can run on the same mandate?
Well, all of those will be things that the discussion are going to have and all of that. I'm not part of those, having that discussion.
Is Atiku Abubakar having conversation about some new political movement coming up?
Atiku Abubakar is having conversation with all options are on the table.
Just for him to be president?
Not just for him to be president.
But he wants to be president.
You're also not being fair to Nigerians when you think that this is about Atiku Abubakar. No, sir. It's not about him.
You can be president. If I can be president.
I can be president.
So if Atiku Abubakar wants to be president, is that a crime? And I'm asking whether you are his spokesperson.
No, but you said...
And I said earlier, the voice of Paul is the voice of Atiku.
You said just to be president.
No, I'm asking that
Nigerians are deserving better than what we are getting. And they have said that. The last time you and I, talked, I made reference to it. And you were asking whether Nigerians are having any regret and all of that. So I said, it's up to the things that they are saying. They are feeling the pinch. Look at the cost of living. It's never been this bad, in our country. And there is no hope.
The president and his party has said, give us some time.
Time?
Look, there are things that we are working on. Is it possible to give them the benefit of the doubt that there works? And look at the naira to the dollar right now. Naira is gaining in just less than a week, from 1,007 to 1,500 at the parallel market. Could this be some of the signal of what they say they are working on, and it will benefit Nigerians in the end? Light at the end of the tunnel, that's what they call it.
Sheung, at this time of the year, Nigerians in the diaspora, they come home. And they come home with an inflow of foreign exchange. It's Christmas. The New Year is around the corner. It happens every year.
So
you're not a stranger to this.
So any positive that comes out of this economy is not by the doing or the activities of the economic team or this government.
If any positives come, I'm a citizen, and I shop in the same, from the same, the same market, as you. All the offerings that I get are not elsewhere. But the truth of the matter is that what we have in this dispensation is it's an Orwellian state.
Mr. Ibe, do you have a feeling that Atiku Abubakar could be perhaps one of the best options Nigerians have to lead this country?
Atiku Abubakar has shown competence when he was vice president, claimed, forget all, what happened as a result of politics, the parting of ways, and the rest of it. Don't forget that the Obasanjo Atiku administration One of the years they had about 15% GDP growth. It's unprecedented. An average of about 6-7% of GDP. By the time they've cleared all of their debts. So Atiku is
it the glory of Atiku or the glory of Obasanjo?
It's a team. He worked. I mean, he was part of that team. So whatever it is that Obasanjo had achieved, Atiku was his mentor. He had learned some lessons from, working with him. And he was going to replicate that. And he will still replicate that.
So you think Atiku is a sure bet for Nigeria if Nigeria looks his way?
I don't know anyone who has been better prepared.
Why has he failed to be able to lead the PDP if he's so good a leader?
PDP?
The party that looks like it's in shambles right now.
The last time I said to you, and I say it again, the PDP has a national working, committee.
But Atiku Abubakar is seen as a national leader of the party. The last presidential candidate. The onus, they say, is on him to be able to fix the party if the party is directionless.
Well, I still, restated that the process to bring back, the party from the precipice is still ongoing.
If Atiku looks like a good candidate to lead this country, how can Nigerians trust him when he has not been able to lead the PDP, the party, his own little constituency?
We know what has been going on in the PDP, so let's not try and use PDP as a benchmark.
Nigeria is even.
We know what happened.
Nigeria is more dynamic. Nigeria is more complex than the PDP's problems.
You and I know, and Nigerians know, that the PDP has become a playground for the APC. In that quest to destroy the opposition parties, not just the PDP, even Labour, and using the FCT, minister.
So you blame the FCT minister for the problem of the
He is a man Friday. He has a mandate. And the mandate is to kill, the PDP.
Who gave the mandate?
Oh.
What evidence do you have that he was meant to kill the PDP?
Yeah, show and use your tongue and count your teeth. That is the only mandate that he has in the PDP to kill it.
But you don't have evidence to that?
It's not a question of evidence. Everybody knows that.
Mr. Paul Ibe, thank you so much indeed. Paul Ibe is a media advisor to Mr. Atiku Abubakar. Thanks so much indeed.
My pleasure.